My name is Yvonne Sewell, and I again bring you the second in the series of lessons that I am putting online in this day and age of isolation and fear and whatever else is out there. The first lesson that I posted was Who is God? It can be found on my YouTube site. It can also be found on Midway Road Church of Christ YouTube site. It can also be found on my Facebook page as well as Midway Road Church of Christ Facebook page. I encourage all of you all with questions and concerns to email me at yvonnemason84@yahoo.com or at Midway Road Church of Christ at gmail.com. You can also put your comments on the YouTube site and on the different Facebook pages. Today, I want to talk about what is God. That statement might sound strange because some would say God is not a what, but bear with me as I take you on this journey. In the Bible, God is called by many names. In the Old Testament, when someone was given a name, it meant something. Many times it held a special meaning. The names had a purpose. For instance, the name Nabal means fool. When King David's wife Abigail was describing Nabal to David, she tells David this: For as his name, so is he. Nabal is his name, and folly is with him. This is found in 1 Samuel 25:25. This is the same with God. He reveals himself to us through his name, and he is called many. His many names reveal what God is. God is not an it or what, he is love. In 1 John 4:8 we are told, He that loveth not knoweth not love, for God is love. Shall I define love in order to define God? Love is a force of nature. We cannot command, demand, or take it away any more than we can demand, command, or take away the moon and stars, the wind, and the rain. Love, like the wind, cannot be seen. However, the effects of love are all around us. God is love. Webster defines love as a strong affection for another arising out of a kinship or personal ties that is maternal love for a child. God created us. He has a maternal love for us. He protects us, has warmth for us, and even respects us. What is God? By the very essence of his nature and his character, he is love. His desire to care for, share, and give to his children is because of his love for us. The writer in Romans 8:37 tells us this: Nay, in all those things we are more than conquerors through him that loved us. Because of God's love for us, we have no fear of what happens to us here on earth. Because if we belong to God, his love covers us and we are never separated from him. God's love is an agape love. The word agape is the Greek word for the highest form of love. It is a sacrificial love that voluntarily suffers inconveniences, discomfort, and yes, even death for the benefit of another without expecting anything in return. Case in point, when our soldiers go into battle, they understand they are showing agape love. They understand they may die for others and even some who are ungrateful. However, they do not expect anything in return. God's love is the same. God's love is given freely and sacrificially, and while he pleads for all of us to come to him and to love and worship him, he knows many will not. What is God? God is steadfast. Now that is a mouthful to me. What does it mean to be steadfast? First, we have to define steadfast. Webster tells us this: resolutely or dutifully firm and unwavering, a firmly fixed place, immovable, staunch, a sureness and continuousness that may be depended upon. That definition is a large load to carry. How many of us can say we are steadfast? God is. He never changes. He is immovable in his love for us. He is always dependable in his care for us. He never leaves us even though we walk away from him. Deuteronomy 7:9 says this: Know therefore that the Lord thy God, he is God, the faithful God, which keepeth covenant and mercy with them that love him and keep his commandments to 1,000 generations. That's a long time, people. Psalms 36:5 tells us this: Your steadfast love, O God, extends to the heavens, your faithfulness to the clouds. God is steadfast in his shelter for us. And Psalm 6:31, the writer says, For thou hast been a shelter for me and a strong tower from the enemy. How many of us can say we remain unmovable, a shelter at all times, a tower of strength never faltering? In 2 Timothy 2:13, Paul the writer says this: If we are faithless, he remains faithful, for he cannot deny himself. Powerful words. God is always steadfast, faithful, and unmovable in his love for us. Again, he never changes. We do. We as humans are always changing. We change our minds, our views, our love, our likes, our dislikes. God, however, does not. He cannot. What is God? God is faithful. That indeed says many, many things. Many of us do not understand what the word really means. It does not mean until the wind changes direction or until I get mad at you. It does not mean until I disagree with you. The word faithful means to be dedicated, devoted to a cause, ideal, or person. It means full of, trustworthy, loyal. The definition alone is a burden and a challenge for most of us. We can't be faithful to ourselves, much less someone else, including God. Other things get in our way. God, however, remains faithful. The writer of 2 Thessalonians 3:3 gives us this assurance. But the Lord is faithful. He will strengthen you and guard you from the evil one. How many of us employ the flight mode when we are threatened or someone we care about is threatened? Our first instinct is to gather them up and run. God's instinct is to remain faithful and to protect. Psalms 94:14 tells us this: So well the Lord will not reject his people. He will not abandon his special possessions. How many of us have felt abandoned or rejected? God is faithful. What is God? The psalmist also gives us this assurance of what God is. The Lord is a shelter for the oppressed, a refuge in time of trouble. For those who know your name, trust in you, for you, O Lord, do not abandon those who search for you. Psalms 9:9 and 10. During storms, we look for shelter to keep us safe. God is our shelter. He keeps us safe. What is God? God is a promise keeper. When God told Moses to take his people out of Egypt, he told Moses he would do it with signs and wonders. So when Pharaoh refused to allow the people to leave, God kept his promise. He sent plagues, destruction of crops, destroyed the water, sent frogs, and finally he sent death. We are told by the writer that God is not a man, so he does not lie. He is not human, so he does not change. He has never ever spoken and failed to act. Has he ever promised and not carried it through? Numbers 23:19. The correct answer would be a no. God always keeps his promises. How many of us can say that? Joshua 21:45 brings this home. Not a single one of all the good promises the Lord had given to the family of Israel was left unfulfilled. Everything he had spoken came true. How many of us can say that? We are told in Isaiah 41:10, So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous hand. God keeps his promises. What is God? God is all of the things we strive to be. God is all of the things we fail to be. God is the pattern we should strive to be like. God is unchanging, steadfast, unmovable, faithful, and a promise keeper. He is also forgiving, loving, and solid. He is the tower of strength when we are weak. He is a hand that calms the stormy sea. God is constant. He is Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. He is our Creator and our Father. What is God? He is the very air we breathe, the very life we live, the source of comfort and joy. What is God? He is the person that is still there with his arms open wide when the rest of the world walks away. What is God? He is my heart. That is the end of this lesson. I ask you all to please share this, to think about it, to understand that God is our life source. Without him, we would not exist. And that we all need to turn to him in times of joy, in times of trouble, put him first in our lives. I will continue this series of lessons. Again, you can find me at my YouTube channel under Yvonne Mason. You can also find this video under the YouTube channel for Midway Road Church of Christ. You can also find it on our Facebook pages, Midway Road Church of Christ at Facebook and my Facebook page on Facebook. Please leave comments, leave suggestions, leave questions. We welcome them all. And be prepared for the third in this series of lessons. Thank you.